The old expression, smoking will kill you, did not originate in Columbia, but it was certainly put to the test one day inside my dry goods store in 1850. But more on that explosive piece of information later. My name is James Leachman Stevens, and I was born in Kentucky in 1815 and moved to Boone County with my father at the age of 4 in 1819. He purchased 40 acres outside of what was then known as Smithton and another 11 acres in what would eventually become Columbia. Then later, on our own subdivision of 180 acres, was one of the first developments here in our young city, including lots on College Avenue and Paris Road, and most of what is now Stephens College campus. I suppose I was best known as a merchant, having 3 stores, one each in Mexico, Fulton, and right here in Columbia, in a 2-story building at the location of today's Sycamore Restaurant. My store was a success due to an unlikely business model at the time. You see, back then, people would purchase goods and groceries on credit and then would settle up their accounts at the end of the month. But I hated credit. I was once quoted as saying, "Credit is a false principle and ruinous in practice." Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you. So in 1843, I opened up J.L. Stevens Cash Store, where people could purchase goods and groceries for less, but only if they had cash up front. The store's popularity boomed, and soon wagons were coming by the store every day to bring goods to the settlements along the Missouri River. And then every night I would gather my employees together for Bible instruction and prayer. Missouri historian Floyd Shoemaker once said of me, he was a hard-shelled Baptist and a hard-shelled businessman. I'm grateful that my store's success enabled me to contribute to the development of our fair city. In my personal life, I was blessed to meet Miss Amelia Hockaday of Fulton in 1844. Her father was a judge, so you can imagine how nervous I was courting her. At the time, I was still trying to initiate my cash-only system and had not yet made a name for myself. But I guess her father saw something in me, and we were married a short time later. We had 2 beautiful children, Anna and Edwin William, or E.W. as everyone called him. He didn't do too bad for himself, founding the Columbia, Missouri Herald and becoming one of the most respected newspaper publishers in the state. He eventually would become president of the Missouri Press Association and chairman of the new state capitol construction project. Throughout my lifetime, I was able to donate more than $100,000 to various causes. I'm not one to boast, but I will say that would be $1.8 million in today's dollars. I helped organize the gravel road system in several counties. I headed a petition that would raise $350,000 to subsidize the Centralia Columbia branch of the Wabash Railroad. I was elected to the Missouri State Senate in 1880, and yes, I donated $20,000 toward an endowment to the Columbia Baptist Female College when they had fallen on hard times. They graciously decided to rename the college in my honor. I am proud to say that still today, Stephens College is one of the premier women's colleges in the country. Now, being a store owner wasn't always profit and satisfaction. There was one remarkable incident that I alluded to when I began today's remarks. One day in 1850, the store had just received 2 kegs of gunpowder that were still sitting in the front of the store the next day. Unfortunately, one of the kegs had leaked a small amount of powder onto the floor, and my clerks hadn't yet put the kegs in the back and swept up the spill. At 11 o'clock that morning, a 25-year-old man named Josiah Short came into the store with his mother. He had a lit cigar and inadvertently dropped an ash on the floor near the keg. Well, you can probably guess what happened. The explosion blew up the entire building. Mr. Short was blown over the counter and 40 feet from where he had stood and was killed instantly. Many others were critically injured, and both B.T. White and a Negro woman named Eliza would die before the end of the day. Because I ducked under the big oak counter right before the roof caved in, I was one of 13 who survived the blast. I had lost nearly everything of material consequence, but I was forever grateful for my life and would pray for the souls of young Mr. Short, Eliza, and my friend B.T. White nearly every day for the rest of my life. Life is precious. Remind yourselves of that each day. Well, I thank you for coming. It has been a pleasure. I thank you, and may God bless you all.